Welcome back to another episode of Roothy's Low Range. This episode, well, we like to call it daring, pioneering, brave. Other people just call it stupid. We've headed to the desert in summer. Central Australia received a heap of rain and we wanted to see the results for ourselves. It was hot, it was uncomfortable, but it was such a rewarding trip, one I'll never forget. Oh, wow. Rain in the Outback? Unreal. It'll be wet and green and lush. I'll have to get on to the guys, I reckon. Tell them we're heading to the centre.
Got a phone call from John. Kenno, what do you think about going out in the desert in the summer? I said, John, you're mad. He said, we go out there, it might be hot and everything, but it's going to be in full bloom. There'll be water everywhere. I said, righto, mate, I'll start packing the truck.
Let's give it a run on the dyno and see how she goes. I was in two minds about heading into Central Australia. One, because I know it's hot, but I heard there was a lot of water, so I was really interested in seeing the water, seeing the place in flood. It was pretty exciting, actually. But in the back of my mind, it was always, how am I going to handle the heat? But it's not something that I would normally do.
Are we crazy? Well, yeah, of course we are. That's what makes us low rangers. I mean, you know, let's be real. Gleno's driving a Land Rover. Kenno's pulling a little caravan in places where you just shouldn't take a caravan, really. And I've got a 35-year-old truck that's sort of held together with sticky tape and rubber bands. Yeah, we're crazy. I reckon it's fantastic. Get to Quilpie first night.
Quilpie's about 1,000.
Yeah, about 1,000, a bit less. So that's all right from Brisbane, eh?
Hey, that's a good run.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Kenno?
Good boy, eh? Good boy, Wolfie. Good boy. You like that, don't you, Wolfie? Yeah, you like that? Yeah. That's a sweet spot right there, isn't it, Wolfie?
I wonder if he lets Wolfie drive. He probably does, you know.
It's a sweet spot right there. Hey, under the chin or... Oh, yeah.
Roothy's climbing sand dunes, Gleno's crossing creeks, Kenno's kept out yonder and it could be there for weeks. They're on an adventure, that is nothing strange. They love forward travel, living life in low range.
Hey, gentlemen, it is a cool 40 degrees outside.
46 degrees here in Milo.
What are you baking?
I'll tell you what, you can see where the water's been. Even in front of us here, there's a few mud marks.
Yeah, I'd say she'd dry up pretty quick out here.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much, would it? Sometimes I wonder whether I just wind the windows down when I'm driving and sort of get used to it, like John does. You know, he is the man, and I don't proclaim to be a man to do with the heat.
Oh, I'll tell you what, guys, there'll be something slightly wrong with the blokes that come out here in February.
Yeah, mate, just ask Burke and Wills. They'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, what sort of years in between a good rainfall is it, John?
I'm thinking last time it rained on the Simo must have been about 4 years ago.
So pretty privileged to be able to get out here then.
What are we about to put ourselves through, eh? Over the summer, the people of the desert hibernate, and whole towns just close down. And here's us heading right into the thick of it. This is going to be a big kilometre trip. From Brisbane, we'll do the 1,600 k's to Birdsville and then head north to Bulldust. And from here, we'll take the Plenty Highway east to Alice Springs, and that's not far from the James Ranges. This is where the Finke River four-wheel drive track is. And with all the rain the region's had, it's sure to be a beauty.
Yeah, we come across Batuta. I thought it was a pub. Well, to most blokes it would be a pub. But it was actually an old guy's house and he had one room dedicated to being the pub.
I wish I could remember the old fella's name, you know. I feel really bad about that. I must have dropped in there every year for 7 or 8 years. It was a one-man town, you know. Batuta, population 1. And he ruled the roost. Welcome to Batuta, guys.
You reckon they're going to have a cold beer for us or what?
Don't think so, Kenno.
Batuta was the place you had a nice cold beer and a bit of a refuel before you got to Birdsville. Batuta was a really important little place, even though it had a population of 1, and then it shut. Can't imagine this, eh? I mean, bit of a chook yard and...
Careful, John, I hope that's not live, that cable.
Oh, gee,
No.
Well,
Can't imagine why anyone would want to leave here. The flies like it.
if you like your own company, this would be spot on.
Yeah. The main reason the place is not graffitied is because 99.9% of the population just wouldn't go anywhere near the place. It's too friggin' hot. How stupid do you have to be? I feel like an absolute dill for actually being out here.
Have a look at the size of these wasps' nests, John. Do you reckon they're birds or wasps?
I don't know, mate, but they're huge, aren't they?
Dinosaur wasps.
I'd say they're dinosaur wasps, yeah.
Break
Righto,
shit.
Gleno, we'll just clean it up and we'll open up roost systems, Batuta.
Put a dino in here.
Even after it shut, the old fella was there, but he pulled the shade mesh down over the sides and the car was there and you'd hear the generator running sometimes, but he wouldn't come out at all. So I'd love to know the end of that story. It's one more story the Outback's hanging on to. Doesn't matter how you hit Birdsville, which direction you're coming from. It's always a sense of relief, you know? Big, thick stone walls. It's cool in here. It's beautiful. And they've got cold beer. Life doesn't get any better than that.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Good on you. This is the other side of rain in the Outback. Local knowledge has it that the road's shut at Marion Downs, and it's shut for a long way too. We can get through to Baduri, and after that we might have to take some back tracks. But the VMS says there are tracks there. How much water's on them's another matter, but hey, we'll find out. This diversion will add about 70 k's to our trip, but hey, when you're already doing this many, what's another 70? It could provide a bit of a challenge too, and that's what we love.
When we left Birdsville and headed off into the floodplains, John radioed through that there was a bit of water over the road, but when I actually got to see it myself, it wasn't just water over the road, it was sort of a lake. You could see water on the horizon, and we had to drive across this and find where the actual road was. If we went left or right, we would have ended up in the drink. I think it can't be too long since it's rained. I don't think water would stick around too long out here.
Oh, whoa, I got a full shower.
Yeah, it's actually flying across there, isn't it, eh? Pelicans, seagulls, that's pretty cool in the middle of Australia, isn't it, eh? And just seeing this massive flood. Pretty cool, eh?
Oh, this is unreal.
It's like we're literally driving across a lake.
I got my rear e-locker on because I forgot to lock in the hubs. And it's pushing me through beautiful.
I was not expecting to see seagulls in the desert. I wonder how they'd react if you threw a chip at them.
I think they all have the same law.
Hey guys, we're up to the creek. We've just reached the creek.
Hey John, I think we're very privileged to be able to see this in this state.
Absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
I just want to know how the birds know that the water has arrived.
It was in the paper.
It's now on the net too.
Whoa, big bump. Oh, that's the road. That's the time bit there. What a sight, hey? This is better than any fun you could have in a theme park. Oh, gee, it feels good to wash all that dust off the truck. And in my case,
I'm enjoying the bath myself. Milo only gets about 400 k's to the tank, especially on dirt, a bit less. So another 40 litres should just about get us there.
Yeah, jumping out of the car, hitting 45 degrees, yeah, that hits in the face. It really does. But what irks me more than that is about 10,003.5 flies all at once.
Can't believe how stupid these flies are. Or how stupid we are. Well, it's not the easiest to negotiate getting it in my mouth, keeping my neck clean, but it is working.
It's always about local knowledge in the outback, and the old fella at the survey in Birdsville, when he said the Batuta to Bulldust road was closed, that came from a lifetime of experience. He's lived here all his life. When he said it, I knew it was fair income. Sure, it was an adventure, and sure, you know, we hadn't been down those tracks, but that's two reasons to go and do it, isn't it? Because it's an adventure and because you're going to see something you haven't seen before.
When there's water, there's life. And the abundance of water in the outback right now has brought all sorts of wildlife with it. It's just so good to see the outback come alive. Ships of the desert. Is there anything as graceful as a camel? From a distance, that is. Up close, they're horrible. Before too long, we make it into Bulldust, and now we're back on the main track. But out here, main track doesn't exactly mean it's well used. Next stop, the border.
Something you notice out here, the sky looks totally different to what you'd usually have, you know, in your major cities or close to your major cities. It's, you know, I suppose there's no pollution in the sky, and the sky just shows totally different colours, and the contrast between the clouds and the sky is a lot more vivid, and just feels cleaner.
After a long day's driving, we finally find a bush camp and get settled in for the night. Time to rustle up some tucker.
Yeah, the crickets around dinner that night. That was pretty funny.
The roast of my beef, the mash to my potato, the extra cheese on my burrito. You're the cream of the cream on my sweet little...
The crickets don't seem to bother has-been much, though.
The little buggers, eh? Headbutt you flat out. I think the odd cricket got into the ribs.
It's like I was playing cricket skirmish or something and getting nailed by a cricket sniper.
Here we've got a heap of ribs and a big cast iron pot and a gas ring. Half cooking the ribs up, nice. And I had my usual cupboard full of stuff, so out came bits and pieces. All sorts of things. You know, I just work my way through all this stuff and chuck it in, make sure it tastes good in the bowl, and chuck in probably twice as much marinade as you'd use normally, because you're not actually soaking them, are you? You're just cooking them on the spot, which is what I did. And you know what? They came out beautiful. A little bit of extra time in the pot, so the meat just fell off the bones.
Us three guys, we just hoed in. Good. Flavour. Love flavour.
This is our fourth day of driving since leaving Brisbane, and we still haven't left Queensland. Oh, how big is our country, eh? It's just massive.
Hey guys, bit of recent churning going on here. This bit must have been wet for quite a while. Gee, it's chopped up.
Looks like there's still a bit of moisture underneath the surface there, so it can't be too long ago.
Trust me, it's really hard here.
Just a little bit.
In a few hours' time, we'll have to wind our clocks back half an hour when we enter the Northern Territory. Half an hour in about 40 years.
You know, We'd seen plenty of mud, chopped up mud and stuff like that on the track, but we didn't realise until we got to the first fuel stop over the border on the Plenty Highway that we were the first people to come through that way since before Christmas. That's pretty exciting.
The brothers who own this, they own a helicopter mustering services as well, because apparently this property's 1.5 million acres.
1.5 million, that's really hard to fathom.
It's a lot of land. I guarantee they won't have fences.
We should do some checking on that, because it's probably bigger than a whole bunch of countries.
I can see a picture of John's face on that thing.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you what, it's a weird feeling heading into town again. So many cars, so many people. Alice Springs is the biggest outback town in Australia, and it's worth a visit, especially to the Hall of Fame, the Outback style. This is the Transport Hall of Fame, the Road Transport Hall of Fame.
Got a bit of gear around.
And there's some good rusty stuff here, John.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate, one day I wouldn't mind this being the home to Milo.
Solids.
Old Blitz, I used to drive those as a lad.
Not much of that one left, mate.
Oh, Model T Fords.
Wow, check
Two of
this
them.
place out.
It's all right, eh?
It's unreal. And there's a lot of stuff I've never seen before.
You need a whole day. We don't have a whole day. I'm going to take you to a couple of specials.
Fair enough.
Lassiter's Land Rover.
Where? There it is. When Harold Bell Lassiter was 17, he attempted to travel from Alice Springs to the west coast with 2 horses. He never made it all the way, but he did discover a reef of gold, and Lassiter kept the location of the reef a secret until his death in 1931. His son and grandson subsequently spent many years trying to vindicate Lassiter's name and prove that the reef did actually exist, but they could never find it. So this is what they did it in. They got an old landy, well, it wouldn't have been old then. They put the seat on the roof.
Who's that up there?
The radiator up there too.
That was the spotter. I think they could actually steer it from up there. I think they had some way worked out of steering it. The radiator up on the roof because of all the, you know, the grass seeds and stuff blocking it up. Just fantastic, hey? Just fantastic. Now, if you wanted reliable transport to haul stock through huge, great, long, isolated distances, who would you pick to do it?
Mac.
Guess what? Vesties owned a whole lot of the land up north. In fact, I think they still do. The Northern Cattle Company it was. And this thing was built in London and it's powered by Rolls-Royce.
Yeah.
And it was specifically built for travelling the long stock roads. Like you can see, it's a one-off build. Transmissions from a World War II Sherman tank. You can't miss the Kenworth Dealer Museum. There's supposed to be over $10 million worth of trucks in here, including the Grey Ghost, the first Kenworth built in Australia. How's this, eh? The original rooftop tent?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Homemade.
Homemade, timber powered, all the way around Australia. Whoa, get a load of this.
Hey.
Oh, guys.
You need a new grill?
All we need is some roof and metal green, fellas. Perfect.
Yep.
Wheels. Let's get out of here before you guys have any bad ideas. Come on. The Bulldust out here is some of the finest I've ever seen. Dust clouds out here hang around for ages after you've gone. They also act as a warning for any oncoming vehicles, though. Not that we've seen any of those in a long time. Sometime last year I was at a four-wheel drive show and I ended up presenting on stage with a guy named Brolga. Now I gained a couple of things from that. One was a crook neck because the bloke's about 3 feet taller than me, and the other was an invitation to come out and visit his property outside of Alice next time I was in the area. So that's what we're doing. Brolga actually has his own show with the BBC called Kangaroo Dundee. He's a real roo fanatic.
Brolga was a tall man. When I spoke to him, I pretty much was talking to his belly button.
Brolga invited us into his shed, the one he lived in for 4 years. It gets up to 60 degrees in here, just like Milo, really.
About 10 years ago now, I set up the Baby Kangaroo Rescue Centre.
And that was after finding a...
That was when I found a little Joey still alive in the pouch of a dead kangaroo out there on the highway. And I was a tour guide, always checking dead kangaroos for possible Joey, and then realising I'm the only one doing it.
Yeah.
So today I've got 90 acres just out of Alice Springs, and got a big free-range enclosure for my kangaroos.
Yeah, now you've made that sound really easy, mate. But we know it was a whole lot tougher than that all the way along. I mean,
Yep.
you did all this on a real budget to start with.
Yep.
The fencing, which is dog-proof, obviously.
Yeah, sunk in the ground 3 feet.
You did all that yourself?
Yep, 10 foot tall. Yep, it took me 2.5 years to build it.
2.5 years.
Yep. So,
I've come full swing with kangaroos, and I guess that's one of the good things about living this long, isn't it? You know, as a young fella, they were a pest, and I did my bit. Later on, we fed ourselves from roos. We always fed the dogs from roos. These days, holding a little roo, oh, gee, sometimes it makes me feel a bit ashamed of what I've done, but you can't really change that.
Then Brolga showed us something real interesting.
with a little joey such as this, they can't drink at the water hole when they're in the pouch. So they generally just.
Okay.
It's just it's a nurturing thing.
So they'd do that with their mum usually?
Yeah.
No, I've got to admit, that's probably where I'm going to draw the line. My Joey's not thirsty at all.
And how does that feel?
Brolga wanted to show us one of the adult roos he's got in the sanctuary. Apparently he's not very sociable, though. He had a go at you once, didn't he, Roger?
Oh, more than once. Bloody once a day, mate. I just don't tell me mum. He will see us as a threat. We are a threat to him and his harem, and...
Roger, I'm not interested in any of your girls, mate. Trust me.
Don't shut that gate. Don't shut, because we might need to get a quick exit. I don't allow anyone to go in with him, so you should see this as a privilege.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Privilege. It's called getting the kicked out of you.
2 people have been kicked to death by a big kangaroo, and 3 men have had their tackle kicked off.
Oh, nice.
Well, let's go meet him. We'll see how he reacts.
So how far behind you should we be?
Roger's the big red. He's the boss.
It's on the end of a kangaroo's foot. There's a really big toenail. So if you've been kicked in the stomach, take down everything on the way. All right. So,
Oh, he's flexing.
Yeah.
He's going the big flex.
My only thought when Brolga was prodding him was, I bet that 6'7" bloke can run a whole lot faster than I can.
he's a very, very aggressive animal. All right, now, if he's going to come out, we'll just stay there. We're taking advantage of the fact that he's very hot. See the way he's standing up like this? He's still not at full height, but sit back on the tail, and that is fighting position. Now, he can run at 65 k's an hour.
65 kilometres an hour, I don't think I can do that.
Show off.
Hey, now he's really showing off.
Yep, watching Roger lick his balls was just one of those things, wasn't it? You know, like...
When any male does that, you know, say clear, this man means business.
Can you do that, Glenn?
That far away last night.
Mate, I've never fought anyone who licked his balls right before he came at me, so I'm really keen to leave about now. Hi guys, welcome to the Finke River, the oldest river system in the world. They reckon it's about 350 million years old.
To camp in the valley of the Finke, sorry, it just doesn't get better than that, really.